Tables and seats are now on sale for the biggest night in the digital video calendar, the TellyCast Digital Video Awards. We're celebrating excellence in the only award ceremony created especially for the social video industry, with over 100 channels, shows and series shortlisted across 27 categories. It all takes place on the evening of 5th of June during South by Southwest London Week at the luxurious Londoner Hotel in Leicester Square. The guest list reads like the who's who in the next generation of entertainment. So book your table, half table or seat now and join the talent and executives shaping the content industry of tomorrow. Just visit digitalvideoawards.co.uk to secure your place now. The TellyCast Digital Video Awards, the biggest night in the digital video calendar. We'll see you there. Hi, I'm Justin Crosby and welcome to another TellyCast. My guest this week is Amie Parker-Williams, Director of Commissioning and Production at MTV Entertainment Group International. Amie's at the forefront of creating groundbreaking content for one of the best-known youth media brands in the world. In our conversation, we're going to dive into her approach to commissioning, how she's navigating the challenges of a fast-changing digital-first landscape, and the strategies MTV is using to connect with global audiences in a crowded content market. So whether you're a seasoned TV producer, a digital creator, or someone just looking to understand the future of entertainment, this episode is packed with insights you won't want to miss. For more videos featuring the movers and shakers of the content industry, just search TellyCast TV on YouTube and hit subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. Amie, welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Not at all. Great to see you. Last time we saw you was at the How to Make Money in Digital event.
Yes, that was brilliant. It was great to be on stage with some of the best in the business right now, Channel 4, Hearst. Yeah, very great that was.
Yeah, lots of great conversations. Actually, you can get that episode on the YouTube channel as well. On our YouTube channel, you can go back and look at that panel. But yeah, so let first of all, tell us about your role and your role at MTV and what does that encapsulate?
Yes. So as you mentioned earlier, I am Director of Digital Commissioning and Production for MTV and Comedy Central. And I guess it's my job to curate and create compelling original content and build fantastic experiences across all of our social platforms. I also head up our in-house production team made of incredibly wonderful and talented producers, editors, production managers and coordinators, and some of our commissions have been made by them.
Right. And how long have you been at MTV? And because you also obviously Comedy Central as well.
Yes, Comedy Central as well. I've been at the company for 9 years now.
Right.
Long time. Okay.
All right. You're an old hand in the new world of digital first, which is great to see. So two massive brands, renowned all the world over in terms of, youth media brands. We're obviously seeing a real shift in the traditional TV landscape at the moment and more of a move towards digital first. Tell us how your commissioning strategy has evolved over those last 12 or 18 months.
So we've been more ambitious and more confident in our commissioning approach. We've taken bigger creative swings and backed bolder, distinctive ideas. But I would say the biggest change is really down to how content has been made over the last 12 to 18 months. So as I mentioned earlier, I do head up a production team and some of those commissions sit with them. But our commissioning model has evolved to be more of a hybrid approach. So a really dynamic balance between in-house productions and working with external parties and indies. And that flexibility has allowed us to think quicker, move quicker, experiment more, and really scale ideas that connect us with our audiences. And when we have worked with indies, the ideas and the early process still works in-house.
Okay, so the ideas really come from you in the first instance, in most cases?
Yes, typically, in most cases. So I will shape an idea or develop a concept, and when that feels creatively strong and there's internal momentum, and by that other stakeholders share the same passion as I do about the idea, I will thoughtfully reach out to the prod companies and indies that I think are best placed to go on and develop what we end up seeing on screen. And that model has worked really well for us. That means there's brand alignment early on, but it also allows the indies that space to really elevate and execute the idea with their own expertise and flair.
So you're commissioning for the social platforms, your own channels on social platforms, but also on the main channels as well? I mean, is that the same, typically is that the same show, but versioned in different ways for different platforms?
No, so they are truly digital first. So we are thinking about all of the platforms that these can go on, and largely they are social platforms first. But there might be opportunities where it makes sense for it to also go on other platforms such as P+ and the linear channels. But every commission is digital first, with a view of it going elsewhere.
Okay. Can you give us some examples then of digital first shows that you've commissioned in the last 12 months or so, or at least have aired in the last year or so?
So a recent example is Every Woman with Sophie Kasai, which is our fertility docuseries. It has Sophie Kasai, Geordie Shore star. She's an OG, been in the show for 15 years, and I've worked with her on many digital properties, but I also knew about her desire to become a parent, and she's been quite vocal over the last few years about how it hasn't happened for her yet. And so last year, working with Dare Picks, we followed her journey through actuality. We attended fertility appointments. We met with other women experiencing reproductive health conditions and or emotional trauma from that. And what this series did, and did so well, was not only fuel existing fandoms, those truly obsessed with the Geordie Shore universe, but it also brought in a new audience, one that might not necessarily watch reality TV or even Geordie Shore, but were deeply passionate because of the subject matter, which was fertility.
Which has got a huge following. I mean, Google Analytics the other day, and the number of people that come onto the drop who've been searching for her as well, and what she's been up to. So it's obviously, a really successful talent when it comes to the social platforms.
I think having brand talent at the helm of societal issues is just a great way to open important conversations, often difficult ones, through an entertaining and accessible lens.
Yeah. So you're about to announce some new ones as well, some new commissions. So tell us about what you've got coming up.
Yes, very excited. We've got a few dropping in the coming weeks and months. The first one is MTV Faces, which is our mental health podcast series that tackles taboo, often timely topics. The first series we explored grief with Ashley Kane, who sadly lost his daughter to leukemia at the age of 8 months. We then went on to focus on ADHD with Jordan Stevens. Both series did incredibly well for us. I think it resonated with audiences for many reasons, but I think the main one being we complicated representation rather than simplified it. And I think we created the intelligent storytelling that communities that are so often overlooked but have every right to feel seen and heard and included are seeking. And so we go again with series 3. This time we're tackling body image, which comes with a whole host of complexities. Megan Jane Crabb is the host. She is an author, activist, and long-time body positivity advocate. And we've got some great names attached to the series for this one.
So it's interesting that, the clear thread that runs through those are, societal issues, as you say. Is that what your audience research is telling you the MTV audience is looking for now? Something that, content that they can relate to, as well as obviously familiar faces they're fans of?
Yeah, definitely. I think it comes down to relatability, having talent, seeing them in more of a vulnerable light, discussing topics that matter to them. Those conversations that are often relegated to private messages or WhatsApp messages, but deserve a bigger platform in the mainstream. And I think that's what Faces does incredibly well. I think with body image, we're in a time where conversations around physical appearance, self-worth, identity are louder than ever, but also far more complex. And there is this real tension between, especially for the younger generation, between visibility and vulnerability and curated social media versus the messiness that is the real world. And with this series, we wanted to go beyond surface level conversations, in fact, with all of our series. And we wanted to explore the often unspoken experiences that many have when it comes to their body and their identities. And we go deep. We talk on gender dysphoria, body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and how age, race, culture, class, ability all shape how we fit into society.
Well, it's really interesting that you're tackling these issues, because these are all issues that, I think pandemic has made worse in many ways, in terms of us being maybe more separated from each other, and also social media in its own right, which we all know the downsides to social media as well as the positives as well. And obviously this is feeding very much into that.
Exactly that. And I think this will be something that many will be able to relate to, and hopefully it will resonate with them on a deeper level, and understanding that there are other ways to reach out for help if that's needed.
And is this part of a broader commissioning strategy then for MTV in particular?
Want to get ahead in digital-first content? The Drop is the go-to newsletter for industry professionals, delivering insider news, trends, and insights straight to your inbox. Navigate the fast-changing landscape of digital-first production, distribution, and monetization. Sign up now for free at dropmedia.co.uk and stay informed with The Drop.
Yeah, I mean, commissioning is just one part of the puzzle. The wider editorial strategy is shaped by the wonderful Kat Collins, VP of Digital and Social. And I'm incredibly fortunate to be part of a team, a creative, editorial, sharp team, where together we are focused on building a community that are deeply passionate about what we make. And whether that's through smart content design or tailored storytelling for each platform or localizing and distributing our content globally, we're constantly thinking about ways to reach audiences through relevancy and real connection.
Yeah. So you talked about a lot of in-house production, but also more and more you're starting to look outside and work with appropriate indies. Can you tell us a little bit about what else you're looking for now? Any indies that are watching that may have some ideas, maybe ideas sparked by what you've just talked about in terms of this broader approach. Give us a sense of what you're looking for and what sort of scale of projects that you're looking at.
I'm looking for content that feels urgent, honest, intentional. As I mentioned earlier, what are those conversations, those tough conversations that need to be spoken about more? That's what I'm looking for. But I am also looking to have a range when it comes to diversification of length. So I still think there is this old assumption that for the younger generation, especially, attention spans are shrinking and only bite-sized videos can break through a very noisy and oversaturated landscape. And I truly don't believe that's the case. I just think viewers are more intentional of what they choose to watch because time is limited. And I can vouch for that, not as a Gen Z, but as a millennial mum of 2 young children who hasn't slept in about 5 years. And so there are days where I only have capacity for a 90-second video on TikTok, and the next I'm heavily invested in a 90-minute documentary on YouTube. And so what's crucial here is that it's less about length and more about relevancy, resonance, and real connection. And I'm trying to build a diverse portfolio that hopefully meets the shifting mood and mindsets of our audience and create content that meets any state of mind at any given time on any given platform. And that's looking at formats, that's looking at genre, but it's crucially also looking at length. And when you look at our slate over the last few years, we've commissioned projects from 5-minute stand-up, 25-minute docuseries, hour-long podcasts. And so I think it is crucial that we have this range to meet the audience's mood and mindset.
Well, we've seen from YouTube and many other social platforms that young people, if they are invested, and we're saying young people in the broadest possible sense, but actually anybody who's looking at following like the Sidemen, for example, a 2 or a 3 hour session is not unusual. So it's all about, how relevant the story is to them and them investing into it.
100%. And you also have to think about what people are doing. People go to the gym and they're watching hour-long podcasts. People are cooking and they don't want to think about the next thing. So it's a case of making sure we're creating content that serves their purpose at any point in time.
So we've obviously seen a whole new range of content creators and digital-first studios popping up over the last few years, and obviously some are more established than others. And I know you've just worked with one, which you mentioned, Dare. Are you looking, does that really sort of suit your commissioning strategy when it comes to working with newer indies or certainly newer talent as well?
Yes. So when it comes to the indies, it really comes down to 2 things, and that's skill set and values. On a practical level, we want to team up with partners that truly specialize in the genre, the format that we're commissioning, who understand tone, audience, and crucially, the platforms on which the content will be published on. And I actually think newer indies are best placed here because they are platform fluent, and by that, understanding that each platform speaks a different language, operates differently, has different audience behaviors that don't necessarily shift cross-platform. And I think it's more crucial than ever to be able to present how an idea might fly on YouTube, dance on TikTok, and sing on Instagram. And it goes a long way when it comes to building trust between commissioner and indie. And then on the on-screen talent front and working with them to grow with them and give them opportunities, that's at the heart of our commissioning strategy. I think we are actively creating formats that put emerging stars center stage, not just featuring, but leading and shining. And Comedy Central Live, which is our flagship stand-up show, which provides talented individuals from largely underrepresented groups to showcase their brilliance, is a really great example. It's built for emerging talent, and some of those have gone on to broader recognition, which is great, but we take pride in that we backed them early, we built with them, and we didn't wait for the mainstream to catch up.
So obviously we're seeing some incredibly successful creators coming up through the likes of TikTok and YouTube and Insta. I'm sure that, they're very much on your radar. How are you looking to work with this next generation of talent that is coming through literally through their phones?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly essential, I think, for any strategy to be able to work with these digital first creators. I think when you think about Gen Z and who they resonate with, they are drawn to people who bring their full selves to the screen. And it really comes down to authenticity. And I know it's a term that gets discussed quite a lot, but I think it's one that's always worth returning to, because it's less about polish and perfection and more about realness and relatability. And rejection of perfection from Gen Z really stems from them coming of age at a time when the world was anything but perfect. And so there's this sense of realism that's instilled in them, and they are expecting that same energy from the people that they're watching. And that kind of authenticity is born and nurtured on platforms like Instagram, TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah, well, how do you replicate that as a broadcaster, essentially, making programs with talent that's come from these really authentic platforms? How do you replicate that and bring them into the formats that you're creating and make them feel comfortable?
Yeah, so for me, it's we want to keep that rawness and relatability, but for me, it's crucial that when we do, we're offering a truly unique offering that can't sit on their own pages comfortably. And so that might be giving them a new format to be in, that their viewers aren't used to seeing them in, or it might be going much deeper into a topic, or it might be the opposite way. So if it's something heavy that people are used to, maybe seeing them in a lighter way. If they're used to seeing them lighter, it's good to see them in a more vulnerable light, which I think with Geordie Shore star Sophie Kasai is a great example. People are used to seeing her as a party girl, but with this fertility series, it was more vulnerability. And it's the same approach with creators. It's just making sure that the production is still humanized and there's that relatability and authenticity still there.
But maybe revealing a different side to them that the audience might be used to.
Yeah.
And data is obviously really key when it comes to commissioning for digital first. How does that play into your strategy?
Yeah, so we're using insights to help us understand what's resonating, where engagement's happening, and how we can push those connections even further. But we know it's not just about views. We know it's the full engagement picture, the watch time, the likes, the shares, all of that good stuff. It's a real indicator as to whether we are really connecting with our audiences. And when I look back at our commissions over the last few years, I think we've done a great job of, building a community that are deeply passionate, as I said earlier, about what we make, gaining fans, not just followers, receiving active views and not just casual, passive scrolling ones. And for us, yes, we use insights to make sure that we're serving audiences in the best way always, but we do also leave space to innovate and experiment, because if we only were to look at the numbers, we might be missing out on cultural impact or relevancy. So we're data inspired, I would say.
Yeah. And so what's your view on risk as a producer and a broadcaster when we're coming to this new authentic world?
Risk is essential for all of us to remain relevant. As I mentioned earlier, I think it's important to look at what we do to make sure it makes sense for the audience, but you do need to leave space. You do need to experiment. You do need to try something out that's new, because that's where the magic happens.
And so for producers as general, do you think it's harder than ever now for producers to get their ideas away? Because the whole landscape is shifting. It seems to be increasing in speed in the way that it's shifting as well. Do you think it's harder for producers to get those fresh ideas away?
I mean, it's challenging times for everyone, everywhere. I think it's making everyone be more strategic, more focused, more intentional with their approach to storytelling. And at Paramount, I guess we are fortunate that we have these built-in audiences that are obsessed with the brand's iconic IP heritage. And for us, it's about finding new and meaningful ways to unlock the full potential of these IPs and fuel those fandoms. But it's also understanding that it's no longer about driving viewers to one place, which for a long time was TV, and forging long-lasting connections with global audiences. And it's about meeting them where they are, and they are everywhere. And commissions are happening, just maybe not in the traditional spaces people are used to. And I think YouTube is a great example of that. For Gen Z and in actual fact, other age brackets, it's increasingly becoming their version of television as well. And I think the very fact that 1 billion hours is spent on YouTube daily on TV alone speaks volumes about the power of the platform and where attention is shifting. And so I think it's just a case of being mindful of that and understanding that commissions might look different. And that's okay. I think it's an exciting time to experiment and connect with the next generation. And as long as we keep ourselves open to what the future will look like, it's already here, then I think there's opportunity for sure.
But we're talking about a time when the squeezed budgets, and we're seeing talent costs rising, particularly in the digital space as well. And there's a huge shift in the talent space going on. How does MTV and Comedy Central approach that? Because that's a fundamental challenge to any producer and every broadcaster, that tension of rising costs and rising talent costs.
Yeah, I think it's about doing the right things in the right format with the right people. So it's about prioritising those ideas that cut through, that reimagining IP and working with talent that don't just bring name recognition, but bring purpose, community and cultural impact. That's kind of how we're doing it.
And so you've got another commission as well, which is Geordie Shore related, I think? It
is Geordie Stories, Nathan and Dad, which follows Geordie Shore star Nathan Henry and his dad, Glenn, 72, who is living with stage 4 cancer. And the 4-part docuseries will see the pair go back to Glenn's birthplace in Jamaica. He hasn't been back to his hometown since he was 11, so that's nearly 60 years ago. And so what unfolds is this incredibly raw, moving exploration of father-son dynamic through the lens of Black masculinity, LGBTQ acceptance in Caribbean culture, and also touch on themes such as heritage and grief. And before partnering with Doc Harts, who have gone on to produce this show with such integrity, really this idea came from noticing that there was a trend of parent-child, father-son commissions in the unscripted. You've got Bradley Walsh and his son, you've got Jack Whitehall and his dad, you've got Mark Wright and his dad. And while those are great, there is an obvious gap of authentic portrayals from other cultures and backgrounds, in particular Black father-son dynamics. And for me, that inadvertently suggests that all black men are absent fathers, and we truly know that that's not the case. And this just felt like long overdue, necessary. And what Nathan brings to the series is warmth, humour, integrity, relatability on an important conversation.
All right. Okay. Well, that sounds fantastic. We'll look forward to seeing that. And now it's the time in the show for Story of the Week, where my guests get to pick out their industry story that's caught their eye in the past 7 days. Amie, what's your Story of the Week?
Story of the week is YouTube quietly rolling out its own top 100 podcast chart in line with Apple and Spotify, who've been doing it for years. But their version will be ranked on watch time, which I thought was quite interesting and might be a bit of a game changer as to what we deem to be successful. The podcast scene has exploded of late. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. And the very fact that the Golden Globes just announced a new category, Best Podcast, says all that needs to be said regarding the size of the industry when it comes to podcasts. And YouTube have definitely dominated. I think some of the top watch shows and love shows are technically podcasts, whether viewers deem it to be that or not. And I think this is them actually making a statement to creators and probably rivals that we are not the platform just to upload the video version of your podcast. We are the podcast platform, full stop. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if creators change up their strategies to be a bit more YouTube first, creative first, more oversized headphones coming, neon signs.
Well, that's it. I mean, essentially, there's not much difference in, if we just got rid of these mics, it's a TV show, isn't it? I mean, that's all of these formats are starting to mix and meld and just creating amazing entertainment formats, right? So, okay, YouTube with their top 100 chart. And how about your hero of the week, Amie?
Hero of the week is tech investor, co-founder of Reddit, and Serena Williams' husband, Alexis Ohanian, for investing $20 million in Chelsea Women's Football Club, which is a huge moment for the club and also for the game more broadly. There's definitely been a trend in celebrities attaching themselves to UK football. You've got Ryan Reynolds with Wrexham FC. You've got Tom Brady with Birmingham City, LeBron James, Liverpool, Michael B.
Will
Jordan.
Ferrell with Leeds. He's one of Leeds investors.
Exactly. So it's great to see the spotlight shift to the women's game, where serious investment arguably is much greater. And I think with Alexis, we know it's not just about jumping on a trend. He's a major advocate for women's sports. Serena is his wife after all. And I think he understands the power of community and brand building when you think about Reddit. And I think he'll bring a Silicon Valley mindset to the game and hopefully bring networks and brands that will supercharge the commercial growth and sustainability of the women's game. And Chelsea are a powerhouse on the pitch. They just went and won the treble, went unbeaten in the Women's Super League. I just think this is going to be a game changer off the pitch too.
Yeah, it's really interesting because obviously women's football in the US is huge. It's one of the biggest women's sports out there as well. Let's see what that combination of the big brand, the big tech investor and the successful team leads to. But I have to say, I'm not a massive fan of Chelsea, but there we are. We'll skip over that. Who or what are you telling to get in the bin?
Get in the bin. No, I found this one hard because I don't like to think too negatively. But I would say the potential threat of a bunch of festivals being cancelled at Brockwell Park in South London.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Including Mighty Hoopla, which is one of the biggest LGBTQ plus festivals. And I think it was down to a recent High Court ruling found that Lambeth Council unlawfully approved a bunch of festivals without proper permission planning. And for me, this isn't about fun. I think, especially for the queer community, this is just a great space for people to feel free, celebrated and safe. And so, yes, we want to protect the green space and the local residents, but also we want to protect the space of voices that are often unheard and lift them.
Is it the residents then that are complaining or have lodged the complaint?
Yeah, it's to do with they've got 28 days to use they've got 28 days to use the land, and it goes over when you factor in setup and breakdown. And I know last year that was a bit of an issue with how the park looked after. So I think it is just a combination of that and not the proper approval. So I'm really hoping it all sorts itself out.
Okay, well, we'll see. Amie, thank you so much for coming on TellyCast. It's been great to have you on the show. Hopefully we'll also see you at lots of TellyCast events coming up in the very near future. So
thank you very much
thanks
for
being
having me.
on the show.
Cheers. Thanks.
Well, that's about it for another week's show. As always, thanks a lot for watching and thanks a lot for listening. TellyCast is produced by Spirit Studios and recorded in London. We'll be back next week with the host of the forthcoming TellyCast Digital Video Awards, Max Fosh. Until then, stay safe.